Hernandez, American Profit Consulting. Wanted to get on here and I guess share my thoughts with you after today. It's 5:14 p.m. and just kind of share with you what's transpired throughout the day. I think one of the heaviest topics to talk about is all the closures of all of our favorite bars and restaurants and breweries and wineries. I think most of them are posting online that they are shutting down because of the pandemic and what's going on, and to help spread the disease. And obviously, they do that with a heavy heart because they have to let their employees go. Their staff is being let go. I spoke to a handful of business owners and restaurant owners who said that they're laying these people off on purpose so that they can qualify for unemployment, which is just really unfortunate. I mean, it could get to the point where literally half of our workforce is being laid off over the next couple of weeks during this shutdown of California. I know that I mentioned yesterday that Governor Newsom, in the efforts to help try to slow the virus, demanded or is forcing for these types of businesses to shut down, unless they are able to either do curbside pickup or have delivery options. And so that's something, if you own a restaurant, somebody who owns a restaurant, and they don't do curbside pickup or they don't do delivery options, for example, Grubhub and Uber Eats and things of that nature, that's something that they definitely want to jump on and figure out pretty quickly. But hopefully in the short term, these shutdown of these institutions will help slow the spread of the virus, and so it'll finally just die off and we can just go back to life as we know it. I know I saw some stuff in China that the country is coming back to life and people are kind of getting over the disease and people are being cured, and that there's glimpses of what was last month and the month before, because they're overcoming all this. And so I just pray that that's the same thing that happens here in the States. One of the other subjects I wanted to talk about is the SBA. So President Trump and his team are putting together a stimulus package. I think you guys have heard that. They're trying to offer $1,000 per adult, and they're going to mail us a check sometime soon in hopes that it'll assist with those folks that are going to be unemployed and the people that are going to be out of a job for a little while. Unemployment doesn't just happen. You have to go through a series of paperwork and different things like that in a process. So that should be helpful. But I'm getting a lot of phone calls from business owners who are saying, hey, in the stimulus package, they're going to dump a bunch of money into the SBA. It should be easy, right, for me to get this SBA loan. And the unfortunate truth, it is not going to be easy. SBA was never easy. And what a lot of people don't know is that the SBA has always had a pool of money for disaster relief. So, for example, if you go onto the SBA website right now, there's 8 pages of this disaster. It says disaster loans and assistance. And it wasn't until Sunday that San Diego County was there, or listed, I should say, for this type of loan. What happens is the governor of the state has to declare it a disaster, and then the SBA will choose whether or not this is where they want to place their money. But for example, on page 3 here, it says, just to throw out some examples, in Texas, there was severe storms, straight line winds, hail, and tornado. And the incident period was from October 2020, 2019 through October 21st, 2019. So a very small window period. In Florida, it says tornadoes as a result of tropical storm Nestor. In Louisiana, this one's interesting. New Orleans Hard Rock Hotel collapses and related street closures. And it says October 12th, 2019 and continuing. But if you go now on page 1, the most recent, there's a handful of states that will have the incident listed as coronavirus. And San Diego, thankfully, and Kern County actually as well, are listed there as some of the counties that are going to be eligible. So something to think about, of course, something to take into consideration. What I do want to be very frank with though, is that it's not going to be, hey, so let's stand in line and we're going to get money from the SBA to help our businesses who have been affected. That's not the case. It's probably going to be likely the same, SBA requirements. They're going to want to see tiers of tax returns, right? And they're going to want to see that you have, positive cash flow and that your personal credit score is in a good place and that you're credit worthy. It's not just going to be a handout. It's not a grant, right? Like the stimulus package where they're just going to mail everybody $1,000. It's still going to take some due diligence, to qualify for this loan. My gut feeling is that they're probably going to be very picky and selective with who they're going to hold on to these funds for. especially being that, on the other side of these shutdowns and on the other side of, this whole pandemic situation, they're probably going to select, businesses that have multiple employees so that they can get their employees back to work. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be taken into consideration for sure. Now, their interest rates are going to be favorable. 3.25 is what they're talking about. So that's great. But it's not to say that it's going to be easy. I just hope that you guys understand that. One of the things that shies business owners away sometimes from an SBA loan is that the SBA requires all eligible collateral. And so a lot of times they'll ask, not ask, but they require to take your home as collateral. And a lot of times business owners don't like to do that. So there are other options other than just the SBA disaster loan. I mean, there's still a lot of lenders who are doing business, and they're like, hey, business as usual, we're still plugging away and writing loans. And there are other more creative loan types. I mean, we haven't even really gotten to, for example, loan stacking and credit card stacking. Those are completely different, right? But again, these are options, and I just want you guys to understand that the SBA is not the only option, although it is a great option. Something else I want to talk about. Today I got an email from a couple of lenders who are changing their credit criteria. And it's not for the worse, it's not for the better, it's actually for the worse, unfortunately, for the time being. One of the emails I got says, hey, Humberto, effective immediately, we will not provide financing to the following: A, startups, which is defined as in business for less than 2 years; B, restaurants and bars; C, entertainment, banquet halls, venues; D, private transportation; E, gym and fitness centers. By Wednesday, we'll have new lending guidelines. And I called her immediately and I said, hey, what do you make of this? And she said it's going to get worse. They're going to really tighten up on the funds that are going to be distributed in the next foreseeable future, 2 to 3 weeks, because obviously these lenders, they're not charity workers. They're expecting to lend out money to the public and then get a return on their money. I mean, it's business as usual, except for now they're going to be even more careful in this, kind of delicate economy that we have going on in this new era of business and credit and lending and all that. One of the things that I mentioned yesterday on social media was that right now we're seeing a lot of creditors. The SBA is one of them who came out and approved to encourage business owners to call the lenders that originated their SBA loan. So if you have an SBA loan, listen to this, call the lender that originated the loan and ask them for payment deferral, right? Most banks and lenders are doing something, either interest-only payments or 3 months of payment deferral or 6 months of payment deferral. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to waive 3 months of your payments. What that means is likely that after 3 months, they'll reevaluate it and they'll probably amortize it out over the course of the loan, the 3 payments that you missed or the 6 payments or whatever the case is. So that's something that's very important. But even if you're not a business owner, personally, on the personal level, you can call, I posted a post yesterday on social media. There's so many different creditors and institutions that are allowing for, that are taking into consideration that the coronavirus has impacted our income. And so you can call them and say, hey, the coronavirus impacted my income or impacted my business. And there's a lot, mortgage companies are doing this, credit card companies are doing this. Basically, if you are making a payment monthly to a bank, an institution of some kind, call them and ask them if they are offering payment deferral. And if they're not, you lose nothing. And if they are, a lot of times it's 60 days, 90 days. I had a gentleman call me today, one of my good friends, and he said, yeah, I did what you told me to do, and I got, X, Y, and Z. He had a big list of different creditors that he called, and he said almost all of them gave me payment deferral. Thank you, 30, 60 days. And he's in the concessions business, and he makes money when people gather around, and that's not happening in the foreseeable future. So something to take into consideration for sure. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you're a restaurant owner, or if you know of restaurant owners, maybe family members or friends of the family or neighbors who own a restaurant, is that the restaurants that are still, somewhat bankable, or that lenders are still writing loans to, are those that have delivery services. So if you don't have, you're not set up with Uber Eats, or you're not set up with Grubhub or the others, you might want to jump on that quickly and make sure that you can put that in place so that you can still stay open. A lot of businesses are not allowing dine-in, but a lot of restaurants, I should say, are not allowing dine-in, but they're doing curbside pickup, or they're doing their own delivery, or they're partnering with Grubhub and with Uber Eats and the other ones, Postmates. So something to take into consideration for sure is to jump on that so that business doesn't just completely come to a halt. Maybe you're running on 25% capacity, but there's still some income coming in. There's still, the ability to keep a couple of your employees on payroll. So just, it's just a lot of stuff going on for sure. One of the things that I would highly stress, especially if you're out of business or you're not working right now, is to dig deep into your expenses. And during this time where maybe your business is shut down and you're sitting on the sidelines, let's take a really good look at your insurance. Let's make sure that you have the right coverage, that you're not overinsured or underinsured. There's a lot of times lots of savings there. And sometimes, during the year when you're busy and you're making money, you're thinking, oh, even if I save 150 or 200 bucks a month, oh, that's nothing. What's $200 a month going to do? Okay, but over the last 2 years, that would have been $2,400 a year times 2. That's 48. That's close to 5,000 bucks. Those $5,000 would have kept a lot of people in business. But they don't take that into consideration when they're running and gunning and business is good. And the problem is that most times people, don't really think that things are going to change. They just think, oh, we're going to be busy forever, and what's 200 bucks? And a lot of times when we do some of these like financial tune-ups for business owners, we'll go in there and we'll do like an audit of their expenses, and we'll look at insurance, we'll look at credit card processing, we'll look at what they're spending on payroll. We'll renegotiate some financial services for them, and we'll help them save a lot of money. I've seen someone north of $15,000 to $20,000 a year, right? And so it's something to take into consideration for sure is while you're sitting on the sidelines, let's jump in there and look to see what we can do. That's one of the services that we'll offer. We'll be happy to do that. Basically, it comes at no cost to you because, we always try to make it a point to save you more money than what our fee will be. So essentially, it's at no cost to you, and it's a win-win for everybody. So something to take into consideration, even if you're an individual, jump in there and look at what you're spending on mostly throughout the year and see where you can cut some of your costs. Go and figure out if you really need Hulu and Netflix, or if you're spending too much money on Uber or whatever it is, man. I mean, this is just a good time to kind of take a pause and to reflect on finances, because you just never know. All these people that are getting laid off, that didn't expect, 2 months ago they were making cocktails, and today they're sitting at home, with nothing to do because they didn't expect for this to happen. I mean, you just never know what you don't know. I just had this conversation with a business owner not long ago. He owns a brewery, and we were talking about a line of credit for his business, and he's a dear friend. I love this guy. And we were having this conversation. I said, dude, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And he said, I agree. And we just never know. Businesses change, industries change, trends change, algorithms change, look, economies are changing. And so it's always better to have something in place, some kind of a safety net for yourself and for your business, and have it and not need it, and even pay an annual fee. Some people go, oh, I don't want to pay a $250 or $500 annual fee if I don't need it. But it's a safety net. It's basically insurance, right? Than to need it and not have it, right? And you're seeing a lot of businesses that are temporarily shutting down. Hopefully it's not forever, but it's just kind of the new normal for now. And hopefully everything that the government's doing is for the right reasons, and slows the spread of the virus, and allows people to get back to work, and allows us to kind of gather and be social as we were at the beginning of 2020. So anyways, sorry for that long rant, but obviously I'm very passionate about this. Something that we're here, we're still open, we're still running, we're still processing loan applications, we're still consulting and helping business owners get access to money. We're still cutting costs, helping business owners cut costs so they can stay in business and add to that bottom line. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free anytime. Give me a call. 619-200-0351 is my personal cell phone number. You can call or text me anytime. Office number here is 619-836-0267. We're here to help.